Archaeologists open a 5,000-year-old tomb in Siberia. What they found inside shocked them. In the desolate, frozen wilderness of Siberia, where time seems to stand still and nature has retained its raw, ancient harshness for thousands of years, archaeologists have recently announced the discovery of a 5,000-year-old burial site containing the remains of a mysterious birdman. He was laid to rest wearing an extraordinary outfit made from more than 50 bird beaks, believed to be from herons or cranes. This discovery has sparked curiosity within the scientific community and opened up a wealth of intriguing theories about ancient beliefs, rituals, and social hierarchies in the remote civilizations that once inhabited Siberia. The burial was unearthed at the Ust-Tartas archaeological site in the Novosibirsk region of western Siberia, under the leadership of researcher Lilia Kobeleva and her team from the Institute of Archaeology and Ethnography in Novosibirsk. When the layers of permafrost were peeled back, the team was stunned to find the long-decomposed body of a man, still clearly marked by a garment composed entirely of bird beaks. These beaks were arranged along the back of his skull and extended down his neck, resembling an intricately crafted ceremonial collar. According to Kobeleva, the beaks were likely once attached to fabric, animal hide, or natural fiber ropes, forming a spiritually significant ritual garment. What astonished the archaeologists even further was that the beaks weren't placed randomly. They were deliberately arranged, suggesting an elaborate burial ceremony, possibly tied to spiritual rites or indicating the man's special social status. Based on these unique features, researchers have theorized that the birdman may have been a shaman, spiritual leader, or high-ranking religious figure of the Odinov culture, an ancient community that lived in the Siberian region around 5,000 years ago. In many ancient belief systems, birds were considered sacred beings, symbolizing the link between the heavens and the earth, between humanity and the spirit world. Herons and cranes, frequently found in northern legends, were seen as symbols of wisdom, rebirth, and the ability to move between worlds. Burying this man with over 50 bird beaks may have reflected the belief that he could continue his spiritual role even after death. The research team noted that their next steps will be extremely complex and require meticulous care. Separating each individual beak to determine precisely how they were attached and identifying any remaining supporting materials could take several months. This work holds the key not only to understanding this one-of-a-kind outfit, but also to gaining deeper insight into the craftsmanship, artistry, and aesthetic sensibilities of people from that era. However, the mystery doesn't end there. Near the birdman's grave, experts discovered a second burial containing the remains of 2 children and 1 adult male. The first child is estimated to have died around the age of 5, and the second at about 10. This raises a haunting question. What was their relationship to the birdman? Could this be evidence of a sacrificial ritual, a communal funeral, or were these simply unrelated individuals buried nearby due to spiritual beliefs? Of particular interest, next to the adult male in the second grave, archaeologists found a mysterious object shaped like a pair of eyeglasses. This immediately stirred curiosity and skepticism among the scientific community, as the existence of an optically related artifact during the Middle Stone Age is almost unimaginable. Experts are currently analyzing this object to determine its exact material, purpose, and whether it might have been a ceremonial item or held symbolic significance. The entire discovery at Ust-Tartas is opening a new chapter in Siberian archaeology, a region where ancient cultures appear to hold countless untold stories. From the beak-crafted ceremonial outfit to the strange artifacts buried with the deceased, these findings seem like incomplete pieces of a deep ancient narrative. They compel us to ask, what did people of that era believe? How did they live? And just how central was spirituality in their lives? As the frozen earth slowly yields its secrets, the journey to uncover the identity and beliefs of our ancestors becomes more compelling than ever. Don't you think so? This is truly an extraordinary discovery, but it's not the only one. In recent years, archaeologists have made many other mysterious and fascinating discoveries, some even bordering on the eerie. So, what were those discoveries? Let's continue this journey together in the next part. The tomb filled with pure gold in China. You might find it hard to believe that in the heart of modern Nanjing, China, a recent archaeological discovery has sent shockwaves through the scientific community and captivated history enthusiasts alike. A 500-year-old tomb from the Ming Dynasty has been unearthed, and its owner is none other than Lady May, a remarkable woman whom the media has respectfully dubbed the superwoman of the feudal era. Why such a title? Because what Lady May accomplished in her lifetime far surpassed the traditional limitations of a woman who lived half a millennium ago. According to inscriptions found on 2 stone steles within the tomb, Lady May was one of the 3 wives of the regional governor of Yunnan, a vast territory in southwestern China. After her husband's sudden death, and while her eldest son was still too young to assume leadership, Lady May took charge of the family and the region, managing affairs and maintaining order during a time of turmoil. She wasn't just a capable administrator, she was also a brilliant strategist. Historical Chinese records indicate that she offered crucial military advice, helping to preserve peace and stability in Yunnan, a region frequently threatened by rebellious tribes. Her leadership not only earned her the respect of the people, but also instilled caution in rival factions. When Lady May passed away in 1474 at the age of 45, the entire region of Yunnan mourned deeply. She was buried with the utmost honor and reverence, as befitted a woman who had borne the burden of an entire region during one of history's most turbulent times. Now, centuries later, her tomb has once again stunned the world. Though time and water damage have partially eroded the tomb's structure, Lady May's remains have been remarkably preserved. But what truly shocked researchers were the treasures found inside. Intricately crafted perfume containers, hairpins made of solid gold, bracelets, rings, and jewelry inlaid with jade and rare rubies. These artifacts reflect Lady May's noble status, immense wealth, and refined taste. However, behind the glitter of gold and gemstones lies a life filled with sorrow. Historical records reveal that Lady May married at the age of 15 and remained with her husband until his death. Her greatest loss, though, was the death of her infant son, Mu Zong, who passed away at only 10 months old, shortly after her husband died. That devastating loss thrust Lady May into a position where she had to face immense challenges alone, leading both her family and the vast territory her husband had left behind. Today, the discovery of her tomb holds not only archaeological significance, but also serves as a gateway for future generations to better understand the role and status of women in feudal Chinese society, a society often viewed as patriarchal. Lady May stands as a vivid testament that, regardless of the era, talent and resilience can shine through and leave a lasting mark on history. Currently, experts are meticulously studying Lady May's remains to learn more about her life, health, and the mysteries that still surround this extraordinary woman. It is hoped that in the near future, they will be able to provide more definitive answers. The female mummy and enormous treasure in an ancient Peruvian tomb. In the sun-scorched and mystical land of El Castillo de Huarmey, roughly 175 miles north of Lima, Peru, archaeologists recently unearthed a royal tomb dating back over 200 years. This ancient burial site belongs to the Wari Empire, a pre-Incan civilization that once dominated the Andes Mountains long before the rise of the Incas. This tomb is more than just a final resting place. It is a mysterious gateway into the past, where power, ritual, and untold secrets lie buried, waiting to be rediscovered. As the excavation team dug deep into the earth, they uncovered not just one, but dozens of skeletal remains, mummies, and precious treasures buried alongside key figures of this lost civilization. The most astonishing discovery was that of 3 female mummies believed to be queens from the Wari Empire's highest aristocracy. These women were buried with opulent offerings, golden and silver artifacts, and exquisitely painted ceramics. Other skeletons were found wrapped in burial cloths, an important tradition in Wari culture signifying sacred and formal burial practices. However, not all those buried were of noble status. Archaeologists discovered 6 skeletons that had not been wrapped, instead lying awkwardly in the coffins of others. This strange detail led researchers to theorize that these individuals may have been sacrificial victims, chosen to accompany the deceased into the afterlife. Human sacrifice was not uncommon in ancient civilizations, and this possibility adds to the mystery and ceremonial weight of the royal tomb. Miloš Giersch, the co-leader of the excavation project, shared an emotional reflection with Reuters. For the first time in archaeological history, we found a royal tomb of this age. It's a true archaeological treasure, not just for its material value, but for the historical and cultural significance it holds. To archaeologists, this discovery is like uncovering a missing piece of the Andean historical puzzle. While much is known about the mighty Inca Empire, its predecessors like the Wari have remained largely enigmatic. This find not only deepens our understanding of the Wari's social hierarchy, rituals, and art, but also raises an important question about the role of women in ancient civilizations. The fact that 3 queens were buried with such grandeur, surrounded by treasure, proves that women in the Wari Empire may have held significant political and religious power, not merely serving as figures behind the scenes. The excavation is still ongoing, and no one knows what other secrets lie beneath these ancient layers of earth and stone. But one thing is certain: with every shovelful of soil, another vivid and mysterious chapter of history is being rewritten, alive, authentic, and utterly captivating. A one-of-a-kind bio-armor. Around 2,500 years ago, a man in northwestern China was buried wearing an intricately crafted suit of armor made from over 5,000 leather scales arranged like overlapping fish scales. The armor, resembling an apron-style vest, was designed to be quickly put on without the help of others. Patrick Wertmann, a researcher at the Swiss Institute for Asian and Oriental Studies, said that this was lightweight, form-fitting defensive wear, highly effective for soldiers of the time. The research team described the armor as an early example of biomimicry, technology inspired by nature. In this case, the overlapping leather scales worked much like fish scales to reinforce human skin against blows, stabs, and arrows. The armor was unearthed at the Yanghai Cemetery, an archaeological site near the city of Turfan, located on the edge of the Taklamakan Desert in the Tarim Basin, far western China. Local villagers discovered the ancient cemetery in the early 1970s. Since 2003, archaeologists have excavated over 500 tombs there, including the one containing the leather armor. Their findings suggest that the site was used continuously for nearly 1,400 years, from the 12th century BCE to the 2nd century CE. Although these ancient people left no written records, Chinese historians referred to the inhabitants of the Tarim Basin as the Cheshi people. They lived in tents, practiced agriculture, raised cattle and sheep, rode horses, and were skilled archers. The leather armor is considered an incredibly rare find. The only other well-preserved ancient leather scale armor known to exist was discovered in the tomb of Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun, dating back to the 14th century BCE. That armor, too, has a known origin and excellent preservation, making the Chinese discovery all the more remarkable. Ruins of a 13-ton prehistoric megabeast, hunted down by early humans. Recently, archaeologists in Israel once again shook the scientific world with the excavation of a approximately 8.2 feet long tusk belonging to a massive prehistoric creature, a true megabeast that roamed the earth about 500,000 years ago. While this species has been extinct for hundreds of thousands of years, the discovery forces us to rethink the relationship between long-lost animal species and the ones that still exist today. This enormous tusk is not only a rare and invaluable fossil, but also opens a new chapter in our understanding of the evolution of large mammals. According to Sci News, the tusk belonged to a now extinct species known as the straight-tusked elephant, a close relative of the modern elephants we know today. These giants dwarfed even the largest African elephants alive today. The straight-tusked elephant stood up to 13 feet tall and weighed around 13 tons, with tusks reaching lengths of over 8 feet. In comparison, African elephants weigh around 6 tons, and Asian elephants weigh between 3 and 4 tons. By every measure, this was a genuine super beast. However, despite having survived for hundreds of thousands of years underground, the tusk is incredibly fragile and must be handled with extreme care. Exposure to air and sunlight could cause it to rapidly deteriorate. Paleontologists are treating it as a priceless artifact, because without proper preservation, it could be destroyed in a matter of hours or days. This highlights why fossil excavation and research are both incredibly challenging and profoundly awe-inspiring. The story became even more intriguing when archaeologists realized that this tusk was not the only significant find in the area. Initial studies suggest that straight-tusked elephants lived in the region as far back as 800,000 years ago, becoming extinct around 400,000 years ago. This tusk, dated to about 500,000 years old, is the largest and most complete fossilized tusk ever discovered in Israel. or anywhere in the Near East. Dr. Ionir Malevsky, who led the research team from the Israel Antiquities Authority (IAA) and Tel Aviv University, explained that during a previous excavation in the same region, scientists had found additional remains of the same species, such as parts of a skull, ribs, and teeth, alongside prehistoric human tools like hand axes and chopping implements. This has led researchers to theorize that early humans, though likely not yet Homo sapiens, may have hunted and killed these giant elephants. If proven, this interaction would offer a vivid example of early human-animal dynamics, showcasing the role our ancestors played in shaping the prehistoric ecosystem. What's even more fascinating is the possibility that this excavation site holds much more than what has been uncovered so far. It could be a treasure trove of archaeological data filled with clues about life on Earth before the rise of modern humans. With each new discovery, we're reminded that Earth still guards many of its secrets, waiting patiently beneath layers of soil and stone for us to unearth them. So, this isn't just a story about a long-lost species, it's a bridge between the ancient and modern worlds, shedding light on both the evolution of large mammals and the early presence of humans. The mysteries of the ancient world remain endlessly captivating, and each excavation reveals yet another piece of the great historical puzzle of our planet. The desolate ruins of Göner Tepe. More than 4,000 years ago, the fortified settlement of Göner Tepe may have been one of the rare civilizations to flourish before being buried for centuries beneath the sands of the Karakum Desert. Discovered by Soviet archaeologists around 40 years ago, Göner Tepe, once home to thousands and a bustling regional hub, has gradually revealed its secrets with each summer excavation. The site's vast scale, covering over 74 acres, can only be fully appreciated from the air. From above, the ancient structures resemble a labyrinth nestled in the desert, enclosed by tall, fortified walls. Göner Tepe was the centerpiece of a network of towns and settlements spread across the Murghab River Delta, which once flowed from the mountains of Afghanistan into present-day Turkmenistan. Around 2000 BCE, Göner Tepe was the main settlement of the Margush or Margiana region, home to one of the most advanced yet least known Bronze Age civilizations. Archaeological findings here suggest that artisans of the time had developed sophisticated craftsmanship. They could smelt metal, forge gold and silver ingots, craft religious artifacts, and skillfully carve bone and stone. Just a few hundred kilometers from Göner Tepe lies another archaeological mystery: the ruins of Merv, a once crucial city of the Persian Empire that reached its zenith under Turkic rule in the 12th century CE. Merv fell into decline after being sacked by the Mongols in 1221 during one of history's deadliest conquests. One of the greatest treasures of Merv is the mausoleum of Seljuk Sultan Sanjar, which has been remarkably well preserved. With a dome diameter of over 56 feet, it is considered a revolutionary architectural achievement. Its dome design predates the works of Renaissance genius Filippo Brunelleschi by over 300 years. Today, it is estimated that the region contains 354 archaeological sites, and 95% of them remain unstudied. With so many secrets still hidden beneath the desert sands, it's clear that the ancient civilizations of Central Asia have only begun to tell their stories. The mysteries of the Egyptian Sphinx. Since its discovery by mankind, the Great Sphinx has left behind an enduring legacy of wonder and countless unsolved mysteries that have baffled generations. Napoleon himself was said to have stared at the statue in awe and fear. Archaeologists, explorers, historians, and tourists alike have tried to unravel its secrets, yet the Sphinx remains one of the most enigmatic monuments of the ancient world. Even in our modern age of science and technology, questions surrounding its purpose, construction methods, and original intent remain unanswered. These enduring mysteries gave rise to the legend of the Riddle of the Sphinx, a term that captures the intrigue and ambiguity surrounding the monument. Carved from limestone, the colossal Sphinx features the head of a human and the body of a lion, lying in a reclining position as if guarding the temple of Pharaoh Khafra on the Giza Plateau, along the west bank of the Nile River. It is the largest monolithic statue in the world, measuring approximately 241 feet long and 66.3 feet tall. The Sphinx is believed to have been constructed during Egypt's Old Kingdom, under the reign of Pharaoh Khafra. The statue's original name is unknown, as it is never mentioned in any surviving texts from the Old Kingdom. It wasn't until the New Kingdom that the statue was referred to as Hor-em-Akhet, a name preserved in the dream stele of Pharaoh Thutmose IV. The term Sphinx itself was coined around 2,000 years after the monument was built, due to its resemblance to the mythical Greek creature with a lion's body, a woman's head, and eagle wings. Contrary to popular belief, the Sphinx is not a constructed building, but rather a massive sculpture carved directly from a single outcrop of bedrock in a quarry that supplied materials for the pyramids and nearby temples. Between the blocks, a binding material similar to cement was used to protect against erosion and the ravages of time. The techniques used to carve the statue remain a matter of debate. Some suggest that it was shaped using chisels, hammers, and saws. Others propose more unorthodox theories, such as erosion via high-pressure water streams delivered through leather hoses. But if water was used, where did it come from? Supporters of this theory argue that thousands of years ago, the Giza Plateau was fertile and well irrigated, not the arid desert we see today. However, this hypothesis is not widely accepted within the scientific community. Instead, scholars argue that the statue's erosion was caused by rainwater, not wind-blown sand. During the reign of Thutmose IV, the Sphinx was already buried up to its neck in sand, and climate scientists believe that the last period of sustained rainfall in the region occurred over 6,000 years ago. If this theory were proven, it would mean the Sphinx was carved as early as 6000 BCE, far earlier than current Egyptological consensus. Yet mainstream Egyptologists consider this idea speculative and scientifically unreliable, especially since it contradicts fundamental principles of both archaeology and Egyptology. The mysterious Volgograd discs. A team of Russian researchers recently discovered several disc-shaped stone objects resembling flying saucers in a remote region of Volgograd, buried about 131 feet underground. What makes the finding even more remarkable is that these objects are coated with a layer of tungsten, a hard gray metal known for its extremely high melting point and frequently used in aerospace engineering and missile technology. The origin of these mysterious discs remains unknown. Back in 2015, the team uncovered several similar UFO-shaped rocks, but the latest find, a large, flat, circular stone, was significantly bigger than all previous discoveries. Researchers argue that these peculiar stones are not the result of natural geological processes. Instead, they believe the objects may be thousands or even millions of years old. Due to their uncanny resemblance to flying saucers, the discovery has fueled speculation about extraterrestrial life. Famous UFO hunter Scott Waring suggested that these objects are evidence of alien presence on Earth. In a recent discussion, Waring claimed that the stones closely resemble a disk he once saw in a NASA photo taken on Mars. His remarks have stirred significant debate within the scientific community. The most recently discovered disk has since been transported to the Chernovsky Museum, where it is currently undergoing scientific analysis. Researchers aim to determine its exact age and the composition of the materials from which it was made. While its true origin remains a mystery, the discovery adds yet another puzzling piece to the ongoing search for clues about Earth's ancient past, and perhaps its contact with worlds beyond our own. The mysterious network of straight lines in the Bolivian desert. Aerial views of the desert in western Bolivia reveal thousands of perfectly straight lines etched into the earth more than 1,000 years ago. Yet researchers still cannot pinpoint the exact age or purpose of these lines. Known as the Sajama lines, these massive geoglyphs lie beneath the shadow of Nevado Sajama, Bolivia's highest volcano, and stretch across an area of about 8,700 square miles, roughly 15 times larger than the Nazca Lines region in neighboring Peru. Thousands of lines crisscross and overlap one another, forming what appears to be a chaotic network. However, there's no doubt they were intentionally created. The total combined length of the lines exceeds 9,940 miles, making the Sajama lines one of the largest artworks on Earth, according to some observers. Still, the primary purpose behind the creation of the Sajama lines may not have been artistic expression. Some archaeologists argue that the lines were ancient pathways, guiding people to water sources in an arid and unforgiving environment. Another theory suggests the lines were pilgrimage routes, as the network connects numerous shrines, cemeteries, and small settlements. Each line is only a few meters wide, about 6 to 10 feet, and was created by scraping away the oxidized, dark surface layer of the desert floor to expose a lighter-colored subsurface. This same technique was used to create the Nazca lines, although those depict animals, plants, and geometric figures, rather than the abstract linear forms found at Sajama. Some scholars speculate there may be a connection between the Sajama and Nazca lines. Perhaps both were produced by related or culturally linked civilizations. According to a 2016 study, the most likely creators of the Sajama lines were the Karangas people, who lived in the southern Andes between 1000 and 1476 AD. Most experts believe the lines were made during this period. However, the true origin and purpose of the Sajama lines remain a mystery to this day. Pharaoh Khufu's 4,600-year-old solar boat. At a museum in Egypt stands a boat nearly 144 feet long and 4,600 years old, making it one of the oldest vessels ever discovered. It once belonged to Pharaoh Khufu, the builder of the Great Pyramid. In 1954, an Egyptian archaeologist unearthed the massive, handcrafted boat buried beside Khufu's pyramid. Archaeologists spent 20 months excavating and reassembling the boat from 1,224 separate wooden pieces, restoring it to the form we see today. An astonishing 95% of the wood used in the boat was cedar, most likely Lebanese cedar. Ancient workers skillfully sawed raw timber into planks, then shaped and polished them with tools made from copper and flint. The craftsmanship of the deck and hull reflects the high level of expertise achieved by these early artisans. More than half a century after its discovery, scholars still debate the boat's original purpose. Some believe it was a solar bark, a vessel for Khufu to sail across the sky as the sun god Ra on his daily journey. Others suggest it was a funerary boat, used to transport Khufu's body on the Nile to his tomb in Giza, or possibly for a symbolic final pilgrimage to sacred sites. Like so much surrounding this grand and mysterious artifact, the true function of the boat remains an unsolved mystery. The cemetery on Red Square, near the Kremlin Wall. In Moscow, Red Square was once not only a bustling hub of trade and commerce, but also served as a common parish cemetery where locals were freely buried. According to Orthodox Christian tradition, a person was laid to rest beside their parish church. However, this practice gradually faded, and by the early 20th century, funerals near the Kremlin had essentially ceased. During the October Revolution, the assault on the Kremlin in Moscow resulted in significantly more casualties than the takeover of the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. As a result, when the revolution ended, a mass funeral was held for the first time on Red Square. On November 8, 1917, two mass graves were dug between the Kremlin Wall and the tram tracks, stretching from Nikolsky Gate to Spassky Gate. 2 days later, 238 coffins containing the remains of revolutionary fighters who had died during the battle at the Kremlin were laid to rest. Historians have been able to identify 57 of them by name, while the rest remain unknown. In March 1918, the Bolshevik government relocated to Moscow and made the Kremlin its headquarters. At the same time, Red Square became a revolutionary cemetery, and group burials continued. By 1927, an additional 15 mass graves had been dug, containing not only victims of the Civil War, but also those who had died in other disasters. Later on, individual burials were reserved for prominent Bolshevik party members, starting with Yakov Sverdlov, who died from the Spanish flu. In total, of individual graves are located on Red Square. The last person to be buried there was Konstantin Chernenko, the longtime Kremlin official and General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Lesser-known revolutionaries were cremated, and their ashes were interred in the Kremlin Wall, in an area now known as the Wall of the Communards. Initially, memorial plaques with short inscriptions were placed in the wall's niches, but later only names and dates were included. There are 114 such niches in the Kremlin Wall. In 1984, the ashes of Marshal Dmitry Ustinov, Minister of Defense, were also placed there. 10,000-year-old rock art depicting aliens. Historians and archaeologists in India believe that prehistoric people living in caves around 10,000 years ago created rock paintings of aliens and UFOs on cliff walls in Karama, located in Chhattisgarh, India. These ancient paintings depict humanoid figures resembling extraterrestrials, wearing suits similar to those of astronauts. Some of the drawings include flying saucers, complete with antennae and 3 legs. Notably, these images were created around 10,000 years ago, a time when space travel was not even imaginable in the wildest dreams of ancient humans. Archaeologists found that the paintings were made using natural pigments, which have remained remarkably unfaded over tens of thousands of years. However, these are not the only ancient artworks believed to reference extraterrestrial beings. Similar findings have emerged across the globe. For example, at Legends Rock in Wyoming, over 250 petroglyphs have been discovered, many of which are considered evidence that ancient humans may have encountered extraterrestrial beings. Another mysterious drawing found at Cayuse Creek in Idaho depicts a creature seated inside a UFO, with trails of smoke streaming from the back of the craft. According to archaeologists, prehistoric people may have actually seen aliens in real life and chose to record those encounters using the most primitive form of expression available to them: rock art. To this day, these interpretations remain highly controversial within the scientific community, sparking ongoing debate and curiosity. The vanishing village in the Dubai desert. Dubai is famous for its wealth and abundant oil reserves. However, beyond its affluence, this place also fascinates many with the mysterious legends found in its desert. Unlike the bustling, prosperous city, the desert in Dubai is quiet, sparsely populated, and of course, you won't find billionaires or sports cars here. One particularly mysterious place in the desert is a village called Guigui Town, though it is more commonly referred to as the Ghost Town. True to its name, this place is very enigmatic. During the day, everything appears normal, but by night, the entire village seems to disappear, with no trace left behind. To the naked eye, there are almost no clues, which causes great fear among the local residents. This mystery has piqued the interest of the scientific community. Many experts and scholars have visited in hopes of finding an explanation, but the enigma remains unsolved. Initially, visitors were skeptical, but after witnessing it firsthand, everyone was left astounded by the strange occurrence. Some people believe it must be an illusion, while others think the sand might bury the village at night. There are various other theories as well. According to research, Guigui Town has existed for a long time, and people once lived there. However, due to resource exploitation and environmental damage, the area was severely devastated, forcing the residents to leave. Due to the sparse population and the fact that sand fills the village at night and clears up during the day, science has yet to provide a perfect explanation for why the village doesn't sink into the sand during daylight hours. Over time, this vanishing village has intrigued many and gradually turned into a tourist attraction. Naturally, visitors only come during the day and dare not stay when night falls. The ancient city beneath the lake. Tian Island Lake is an artificial lake located in Chunan County, Zhejiang Province, China. The lake was formed in 1959 when the government decided to build a hydroelectric station on the Tan River, which resulted in submerging a magnificent ancient city at the lake's bottom. Tian Island Lake is famous for its majestic beauty, but few are aware that the splendor doesn't only exist on the surface, but also lies hidden beneath the water. In 2001, experts discovered several architectural structures at the bottom of the lake at a depth of 131 feet, including 265 arches, entrance gates, and bridge works. This structure is called Lion City, due to the nearby Mount Wuxi, which lies just behind the city. Lion City has 5 gates, each with a large tower, covering an area equivalent to 62 football fields. Before being submerged, Lion City had 6 main stone-paved roads that connected all the corners of the city, and 290,000 people had to be relocated from the area where their ancestors had lived for over 1,300 years. According to National Geographic, when divers reach a depth of 92 feet, light can no longer penetrate. The lights used by divers only illuminate about 6.5 feet. Despite being submerged at a depth of 85 to 131 feet, the city's architecture remains largely intact, with even the wooden beams and stairs still in place. Experts believe that the surrounding water environment has protected the city, preventing significant erosion of its structures. However, the true answer to this mystery remains elusive, and scientists continue to search for an explanation. 16-million-year-old giant spider fossil. Australian scientists recently discovered the fossil of a large spider species dating back between 11 million and 16 million years. This is the largest spider fossil ever recorded in Australia and the first fossil from the Barachelidae family to be found worldwide. The fossil was discovered at the McGrath's Flat excavation site in central New South Wales, Australia, a region famous for its unique fossils of various animal and plant species from the Miocene epoch, 23 million to 5 million years ago. Scientists say the newly discovered spider fossil resembles modern species from the trapdoor spider genus, but is 5 times larger than current species in this genus. Dr. McCurry stated that this discovery is scientifically significant because up to now, only 4 spider fossils have been found across the Australian continent, making it difficult for scientists to study the evolutionary process of this species. The fossil provides new insights into the extinction processes of spider species and helps fill the knowledge gap regarding the historical processes of the Australian continent. The closest relatives of this fossil currently live in the humid rainforests stretching from Singapore to Papua New Guinea. This suggests that these species once thrived in a similar environment in Australia but became extinct as the continent became drier. Using electron microscopy, the research team was able to examine fine details on the spider's claws and the stiff hairs on its feet, legs, and abdomen. These stiff hairs, which resemble bristles, may have multiple functions. They likely help the spider detect chemicals and vibrations, protect it from attackers, and even produce sounds. 10 million square feet underground city. A massive excavation project that lasted for 9 years has uncovered a multi-level underground city covering an area of up to 10 million square feet, capable of housing thousands of people, hidden beneath the ancient ruins of Zerzavon. The excavation also revealed defensive structures in the form of walls and watchtowers surrounding the old castle. Meanwhile, the mysterious city beneath the castle contains both a church and a water canal extending for at least a few miles. Additionally, archaeologists uncovered an Assyrian-era seal engraved on a stone block that dates back 3,000 years. Zerzavon Castle itself, also known as Samachi Fortress, has a rich and diverse history. Originally built as a border outpost for the Roman Empire in the 3rd century AD, the castle was later expanded, modified, and rebuilt over the centuries, primarily between the 3rd and 5th centuries. During peaceful times, about 1,500 people, including soldiers and civilians, lived within the castle's walls. However, during periods of conflict, the population within the castle grounds swelled to 10,000 people, including civilians seeking refuge. This may have been the origin of the mysterious underground city, which was gradually renovated and developed. Around 6 residential areas have been uncovered around the castle, inside its protective walls. Archaeologists estimate that up to 100 such residential areas are hidden beneath the surface. According to NPR, the excavation is ongoing, with hopes of shedding light on this unique form of settlement. Among the discoveries are administrative buildings and weapon storage areas, which have previously amazed researchers. World's largest thunderbird fossil unearthed in Australia. An 8-million-year-old, remarkably preserved fossil of a thunderbird has been discovered in Central Australia. Paleontologists describe it as an extreme evolutionary experiment. This is the largest bird species ever recorded, as large as a dinosaur. Standing 10 feet tall and weighing at least half a ton, it had a collection of bizarre anatomical features. This thunderbird has been given the legendary name Streiton's thunderbird, or Dromornis stertoni in scientific terms. It possessed an oversized beak protruding from a relatively small skull, attached to a massive body. Researchers have noted that its family is described as only making the creature sound more ridiculous, indicating that it is closely related to modern-day chickens and ducks, but was essentially a devilish duck. Dr. Adam Yates, a paleontologist in charge of earth sciences at the Museum and Art Gallery of the Northern Territory in Australia, described that the revealed fossil parts were perfectly aligned according to the animal's body anatomy. This means the remains are intact, as when they were buried, he said. Currently, scientists have only uncovered the animal's lower limbs and are digging deeper to find the remaining parts, hoping it's a complete skeleton. The process is slow and meticulous because not only are the fossilized remains fragile, but paleontologists must correctly piece the bones together. Even a slight misalignment could lead to significant errors, making the reconstruction of the extinct species more difficult. According to paleontologist Warren Handley and his colleagues from Flinders University in Australia, they had previously found another individual nearby, but it consisted only of a few small and scattered bones, likely from a male of the same species, which did not provide enough information to fully describe this strange creature. The newly discovered specimen is a female. However, the presence of two individuals has helped researchers identify a few key differences between male and female birds. About 8 million years ago, these thunderbirds might have roamed dry forests, using their large beaks to eat fruits and other animals. The thunderbird was discovered at a fossil treasure trove called Alcoda, located in a remote area where fossils of ancient kangaroos and marsupial lions have also been found. Dear friends, the ancient world always holds many fascinating secrets. These aren't just valuable artifact discoveries, but also represent the history formation process that humanity must dig into and explore. What do you think about today's topic? Which discovery impressed you the most? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss out on other exciting discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you again.